right, folks. Welcome back to another episode of America's Hometown Horror. Good evening. My name is Mike. I am your host. As always, thanks for checking back in with us. And just to get some housekeeping items out of the way, just so you know, here's where you can find us online. First and foremost is our website, which is ahhpod.com. That's AHHPOD.com. We're also on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for America's Hometown Horror or Hometown Horror Pod. You'll find us. You can also email us at hometownhorrorpodcast@gmail.com, which would be cool with us. And I'd be remiss if I did not mention that we are now partnering with two fantastic horror resources, first of which is Horror Facts Magazine. You can find them at horrorfacts.com. It's a great resource for any horror fan for news, reviews, and podcasts just like ours. And, of course, we're also partnering with Fangoria, the first name in fright since 1979, to give our listeners an exclusive 20% discount. Head on over to shop.fangoria.com/hometownhorrorpod, and you can use the code hometownhorrorpod for a 20% discount on any merchandise or a first-time magazine subscription. Head on over and treat yourself with some Fango merch. All right, and I'm also joined by my fellow co-hosts tonight. Kat has the night off, so it's a boys' night tonight. Matt, Andrew, guys, gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening to you.
What's going on?
Scrapping him.
Good to have you back, Matty.
Mm-hmm.
We missed you at Barrett's Haunted Mansion.
I know. I was bummed I couldn't make it.
Too bad you were rocking out on your guitar, but we would have loved to have had you. But it was definitely a lot of fun. You and Sarah. I have to go check it out if you have the opportunity.
I'm gonna try to convince her to go.
Definitely.
So we'll see.
Definitely do it. But hey, just to backpedal a little bit, I know we were just kind of talking about this a little bit, but you had a chance to see Barbarian.
I did. Yeah.
Your thoughts?
It was fucking awesome. That movie kicked ass. It was way better than I thought it was going to be. I didn't really know what to expect. I went into it fairly blind. All I heard was that you got to see it in theaters and that it's like twisty and turny, which it definitely is.
Yeah.
It starts off in going in one direction and very quickly goes into another direction, and then even more so goes into a way more fucking insane and twisted direction. I thought it was rad. Honestly, that might be up on my favorites list for the year, for sure. For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't want to give a lot away because I want people to go and see it, whether they can still see it in theaters. If not, I think the less you know about it, the better it's going to be.
I would 100% agree with that. Because we talked about this in the episode a little bit. I actively avoided any trailers or spoilers, obviously, but I didn't read any reviews, which is a habit that I've been trying to get into for all movies. But this one I heard specifically, the less you know, the better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I knew almost next to nothing going into seeing this movie with Kat and Andrew. And I think it was, I've kind of warmed up to it a little bit more, which I feel like has been a trend with me, walking out of a theater initially kind of disappointed, but kind of as the more I think about it, maybe being a little bit less harsh. I didn't hate it by any stretch of the imagination. I know Kat really didn't like it. Andrew and I think we were kind of about the same reaction.
I mean, like when if you go back and listen to the Barbarian podcast, the first half of the podcast, you would probably think that I hated the movie, but then by the end of the podcast, I had like talked myself and like, you know what, I actually kind of like this movie.
Yeah.
So it was weird. It was like one of those movies like when you really sit back and just think about it. I was just like, no, you know what? I think I'm just thinking too much about what movies should be. It was a fun, well-acted, wild movie.
Traditional horror movie. Dude.
And it was not at all what I thought I was going to watch. Because I went in completely blind too, and then I started watching it, and I was like, this is fucking weird. And I thought it was going in a completely other direction, and then it went on this off-the-rails fucking just
bonkers.
Well, I think your whole argument too, Andrew, was that basically if you had been scrolling through Amazon Prime and discovered this movie, you probably would have liked it more than going to see it in theaters.
Because that type of movie is the type of movie that I find on Amazon Prime, and I'm like screaming it from the rooftops.
It's a Shudder
like,
movie.
You guys need to watch this movie.
Yeah.
And then, but having like going to a theater and people telling me to see it, I feel like I have this subconscious reason to be like, well, blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
blah,
it's hard. It's hard to.
Yeah.
It's hard to not feel that.
Because it is a B horror movie. I mean, in reality, that's pretty much what it is. But for some reason, I am expecting this grandiose, like Hitchcockian.
It was very low budget.
Yeah.
I think you said it was made for like $7 million.
Yeah,
that's
it was
impressive.
not very high. But yeah, I would recommend it. I know Matt, you just mentioned this too. Go listen to the Colors of the Dark episode, podcast episode. which is a Fangoria podcast, and they had Zach Kreger, the
Yeah.
writer and director, on it. It's actually pretty insightful about how the movie got made.
It's really cool.
Yeah, he just seems like a
yeah.
really good, genuine guy.
Definitely listen after you see the movie.
Yeah.
Because it gets spoilery.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say see the movie first.
I still haven't listened to you guys on that.
Yeah, well, definitely see the movie before you listen to us, because we go full spoilers, and before you listen to the Colors of the Dark podcast episode. Yeah, but I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you finally got a chance to check it out.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's I so for those who may not be able to get a chance to see it in theaters, I think I saw, and I mentioned on our episode, that after it goes on to like on demand where you can buy it or rent it for whatever the exorbitant cost is, it's going to HBO Max, I think I saw.
Tight.
So you can watch it there if you haven't seen it yet, or if you miss it in theaters.
It was very much, it reminded me in the sense of like watching that movie Malignant and being like, where's this going? Like, what's going on? And then at the end of the movie, I was like, that just kicked so much fucking ass, dude. Like, that was out of control. So...
That's a movie I want to watch again. I love that movie.
Yeah, see, it's funny you mention that, because I absolutely, like, first time I saw Malignant, I fucking loved it. I thought it was one of the most original things I had seen in such a long time. And I guess I can kind of see the parallels between the two here.
It's just like it's so all over the place, and then the story that you get versus what you think you're going into are two completely separate things.
Malignant was fucking wild.
Yeah, the movie was batshit fucking crazy. So is this one though. Like this is a wild movie, and that's why like I got it at the theaters, and I was just like, that movie was fucking metal, dude. Like,
it's almost like it was two parts of like an anthology like horror movie.
Kind of, yeah.
Like it was like, because then you have that like break right in the middle where it's like
it completely shifts gears.
What are we watching now? Like,
Yeah.
Where am I?
Who's
then,
this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell?
It was cool. So I enjoyed it. Definitely go see it. It's off the wall, so don't expect it to be like my normal kind of more cool, calm, and collected A24 reserve style. This is fucking batshit crazy. So this is in the realm with Terrifier and stuff like that. So
speaking of Terrifier 2, we are approaching October very quickly here, guys. So there's some stuff. There'll be some stuff coming out. AMC Fear Fest starts this Friday, Matt, on October 1st, baby. Pet Sematari's kicking it off. I saw that. Let's see, Terrifier 2 is coming out next week. We got a bunch of
a week Friday.
Hellraiser. So yeah, we have a lot going on.
Sarah's gonna be so fucking pissed.
Anyone check out The Munsters yet?
No,
I have not either.
Oh, that's out now?
It's on Netflix now.
Oh, okay.
I've heard mixed reviews.
I heard it's like funny.
I'm not expecting very much, but I'm gonna check it out because it's a Munsters movie and it's a Rob Zombie movie. I feel like I'm definitely gonna check it out. What have we checked out over the last week since we last recorded? Andrew, Matt?
I haven't watched much. I watched the first 4 episodes of the new Dahmer show.
Dahmer, yes.
On Netflix.
I'm on episode 3, so yeah, let's talk about Dahmer. Have you watched this, Matt?
I have not got around to it. I'm going to. I'm definitely
very well done, very well acted. Evan Peters is awesome. Richard Jenkins is phenomenal as the dad. Like the memes that come up with that, though, it's like Richard Jenkins needs to stop being a dad.
Like from Step Brothers.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
I thought I knew like a good amount about the Jeffrey Dahmer case, but watching this, the more I'm watching it, I'm like, half the stuff I'm like, how did this even ever happen? Like, how did it even get to this point? It's ridiculous. It just goes to show that was what, late 80s, early 90s when it like
70s, 80s, and early 90s.
I think it was like I think the show takes place from like 89 to 91.
Yeah, like that was when he was at his like prime killing people, but like all the stuff like when he was a kid, like an early adult. Didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
I just knew this was like later life stuff, so it's wild. Like it's very good.
Truly a sick fuck. Just
is there any word on like how like historically accurate it is?
That I don't know.
So I was on the Wikipedia page for Jeffrey Dahmer, a lot of the episodes we were watching last night, and it seems like it's pretty spot on.
That's tough.
Yeah. He was a really, really messed up individual. No way of sugarcoating, which I guess is the inherent problem with shows like this, right? Because on the one hand, I think that Evan Peters is fantastic. As he is, honestly, I think he's one of the most talented young actors. He's good in everything that he's in. He's always nailed it. I know he's a favorite of Ryan Murphy's. It's a Ryan Murphy show who, if you're not familiar with him, he's done all American Horror Story. He's the creator and the creative force behind American Horror Story. He's the creative force behind American Crime Story. So he did... Did either of you guys watch The Assassination of Gianni Versace, which was really just about the serial killer that killed Versace?
Did not.
Very, very good. reminds me a lot of that, but this is obviously a much darker and more fucked up story.
Right.
But yeah, it's in the vein of that, but it's definitely worth checking out. And I know, also coming next week to Netflix, they're doing the latest version of the series of like Conversations with a Killer,
Yeah,
like the
the
Jeffrey
last
Dahmer
one.
tapes.
Oh, is that coming out now?
Which the last one was the John Wayne Gacy tapes, and I thought
Those
that
were
was
twisted.
fucked up. I
Yeah, that
honestly
was
like
heavy.
I don't man.
The Night Stalker one for me was probably
That
the
was-
harshest
Yeah,
one.
that was
really
real tough.
fucked up. That like creeped me out.
Yeah, very, very scary. Dude, honestly, just sticks in line with what we have always said about Netflix kind of killing it with the
Yeah,
documentary.
they nail the
game. They really
documentaries.
do. They really
They're
do.
long, but they're fucking
worth
good.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
I just think it's wild that like of all the scary movies you could watch, like that the one that got him like most in the mood to murder is The
Exorcist 3.
Like of all
I
the movies,
thought it was Exorcist
no, it was
2.
the third one.
Not
Third.
really. I know he liked all of them, but
Well,
Yeah.
and so this is kind of bonkers too. Whoever at Netflix is responsible for this is probably fired. But did you guys see the controversy today? Obviously, so it's been streaming for a few days now. It was classified as, you know how like you click on something on Netflix, it's like, you know, ominous, dark,
Yeah.
thriller, serial killer, murder, like whatever, and it was classified under LGBTQ plus.
Oh, is that what that was about? I didn't know that
Yeah.
that was even
Well, he
listed
was
on
gay.
there.
Oh, he was, and I
Yeah.
think that's what they were trying to go for,
Yeah.
but the community did not respond very well to that, since it's literally just the entire show is him just killing gay
dudes.
men.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
Yeah, that's
Just like-
that's a bad look.
It's pretty fucked up. I can
It's a
certainly
pretty blanket
understand.
statement.
Yeah, because it really has nothing to do with LGBT.
Yeah,
like, that's
yeah.
just.
So I saw that today, and I was like, oh shit, that's. I can see the point there. So yeah, so you'd recommend it? I would recommend.
I would highly recommend it. I'm only
Oh yeah,
halfway
I'll be
through.
chipping into that one this weekend. That's
Yeah.
one I gotta watch by myself.
Can we just say it's 10 times better than that garbage movie that came out? Like,
My friend Dahmer.
yeah. It was so
Oh, I never even saw My Friend
It was
Dahmer.
pretty strange.
Do either of you guys see the Jeremy Renner Jeffrey Dahmer
Yeah,
movie?
I did.
that's-
A long time ago.
Yeah,
I
that
saw
was
it, yeah.
a long time ago. I saw that once, like forever ago.
Yeah.
Anytime a serial killer, anything comes,
I like serial
kind of
killer
have to
stuff
watch
too.
it. I can't help myself.
Yeah. Hey, Netflix, by the way, do a new fucking season of Mindhunter, for Christ's sake.
Some point.
How many times are you going to make me ask? What else you been watching besides Dahmer? Anything
That
of
was
note?
it. Yeah, that was pretty much it.
All right, Maddie?
Excuse me. I watched Barbarian,
Yes.
obviously, and then I have one episode left of Storm of the Century. We watched that.
I saw your Instagram story last night, yeah.
We cranked through the first two. It's good. It's weird because it's good, but it's like it's Stephen King good. Like the acting's fucking awful, but the story rocks, and
Yeah.
like it has a really good horror nostalgia feel to it. Is it Mick Garris? Did Mick Garris do this?
I don't
It
know if
feels
Mick
Mick
Garris
Garris-y.
did this one.
But
Garris did Riding the Bullet, The Stand, The Shining miniseries. Did he do... I don't
this
think
is
he did
Craig
Storm of the
R.
Century.
Baxley.
Who's the main guy in Storm? Is it Stephen Daly? That's who's in Storm
Stephen
of the Century?
Daly,
Stephen
yeah.
Daly,
Yeah.
okay, yep, all right.
And with all your normal like actors from Stephen
Colin
King.
Fiore, and, yeah. Jesus.
Like the
Yeah,
Tom
I
Mayers
gotta-
and like every one of them, I feel like.
I'm already having, like, breaking out into a cold sweat anxiety about not being able to fit in all of the Halloween shit I want to fit in over the next, like, month plus.
It's nearly impossible.
It's honestly kind of, I mean,
Unless you're sitting in front of a television for like
It's
5
my
hours
it's
a
my
day.
overall anxiety creeping in. I mean, I'm going to continue to watch this Halloween shit into November anyway, so it really
Yeah.
doesn't even matter. But it's just I like to cling on to every little bit of the Halloween season that I can, and I'm
You know what-
fearful that I might not be able
You know what
to.
makes it
That's why
even
you gotta
worse
start
for me?
early, dude.
Yeah, right. I feel like I have been.
It's like I literally will sit down and be like, I'm gonna watch something horror tonight, and I'll be searching for like an hour on every platform, and then I just get overwhelmed because I don't know. So then I put Seinfeld on.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, I didn't watch anything
about right,
because
yeah.
I just was like, I don't know when to watch Seinfeld. That's
I
like,
try to
that's
just
disappointing.
like, I try to take recommendations and just like log them.
Yeah.
And if I just scroll, usually Tubi is my first one.
Yeah.
And if I can't find something on Tubi, I'll go to Shudder, then HBO.
Tubi's got a lot. I got to go back and go through my list.
The,
that I
the
made
reason
on
I go to
Tubi.
Tubi is because they have a lot of stuff that's on other shit as well. Shudder I'll go to if I know for a fact there's something on there that I heard of that came out that I want to watch. Because they're pretty exclusive. They plug their shit a lot.
Yep.
So it's a lot easier. Like, that's how it was with, like, The Innocents and, like, Speak No Evil and
Still gotta watch Speak No
Glorious
Evil, you were
and, like,
talking
all
about
those
that.
things. I, like, knew that they were on there, and I was like, oh, okay, I have this to go and watch.
Yeah.
And then if I'm just like Saturday morning, like Layla's taking a nap, I'm like, all right, I got like 90 minutes to fucking kill a quick 80s horror movie. So
There you go.
that's when I go to Tubi.
That's what it's been like with the 101 Scariest movie moment.
Which,
it's
by the
like
way,
every
as of-
movie is
as of
pretty
this
much.
recording. There's a new episode
Yeah,
out today.
I watched it already.
Oh, I haven't
did you?
watched it yet,
I last one was the third. But
It's
every
short.
every movie they talk about is pretty much on Shudder for
Yeah.
the most part. So it's like
Lots of them,
you get
yeah.
all these ones that you're like, oh, I haven't seen that one yet. I want to watch that, and it's like, oh.
So my recommendation to you guys, I don't know if you have this app or not. I'm an Android user, so I have the Google TV app. So basically,
Oh, yeah,
what you
you've
can do
told me
with
about
that,
this.
if you have a Google account, you can log in. You can save stuff to your wish list, and you can like filter what streaming services you have, and if something pops onto one of those that you have on your wish list that you
Gives you
have, it'll
notification.
tell you,
It's
hey,
available.
this movie, off season is now on Shudder or on Netflix, or actually it doesn't work with Netflix because they're a direct competitor, but it'll tell you if something's on like HBO Max, or we use YouTube TV for our TV provider, so it'll tell me if something's on YouTube TV that I can record it, or like any of my other streaming services. Hulu is one of them. It just doesn't work with Netflix for whatever reason. They probably hate each other. So
Do you have Shudder through YouTube TV?
I do, yes, which has actually posed a few problems for me recently.
You said that with the
Yeah, the 101 scariest
moments.
horror movie moments of all time was not available for the first 3 episodes on YouTube TV, so I actually had to do a free trial on Amazon once.
Really?
Yep, for a week, and then I had to actually pay. I had to pay for 1 month of Shudder. The Shudder app, for whatever reason, I didn't try it this time around, but it hadn't been available on my TV for a long time.
It wasn't up until probably like 6 months ago.
Okay, and you have a Samsung TV? Okay, so I have the same.
I have a Samsung TV too because it's the 3 major buttons were like Netflix, Amazon, and then
Yeah, it's on
Yeah.
there now.
Yeah.
You'll have to kill your account on YouTube
Okay.
and then make a new one
Okay.
annoying.
because you're gonna be.
And it's the same price, correct?
It's like $5.99.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that because if it's directly through the app and the stuff just shows up right away, that's better for me. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll do that.
You
I
get
love
the
it on
live,
I love it on
like-
the Amazon app because it just shows up under your like movies you might like. And it's
Amazon's
Shudder.
convenient too.
It's very convenient.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
But yeah, no, the Shudder. I think you can link the Amazon and the Shudder one.
They're
I think
linked.
YouTube TV is on its own separate thing.
So basically, when I'm in YouTube TV, I can click onto the Shudder platform through that app and scroll through, which is sometimes when there's like a delay in certain things when they upload them. I don't
Like,
know
can
why.
you watch like live shows air, like when they do Joe
No,
Bob Briggs?
no, I
Yeah,
can't.
so
Yeah, see,
that's why
yeah.
I wanted to get the one when the newest season of Joe Bob Briggs came out. That's when I got Shudder on my TV as its own app.
All right. Yeah, I got to do that. I'd
So
rather
that
give
was,
the
like,
money
the
directly
beginning
to
of
Shudder
spring.
anyway, so that's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. I know we kind of got off track there.
It was
what were we-
informative.
Well, yeah.
Yes,
it's
very informative. No,
informative.
that's fine. I'm not complaining. Anything else that you watched over the last week that you want to talk about?
No, just rewatches. I rewatched Hereditary.
Nice.
I rewatched Frankenstein. I
Hereditary's
rewatched
so fucked.
Climax because I just wanted to get that one in again.
Want to get
I
that Gaspar Noé in, buddy?
Yeah.
Yep. Speaking of Universal Monsters, so I actually rewatched not the Brendan Fraser Mummy, the Boris Karloff 1932
Oh, very
The
nice.
Mummy, which so we the other night we kind of just had a night hanging on the couch, and she wanted to watch a bunch. She was in the mood to watch horror stuff. Kat was, I should say. So I was like, "Yep, let's fucking go." She was like, "Let's watch Halloween 3 Season of the Witch," and I was like, "Yes, let's fucking watch Halloween 3 Season of the Witch."
Little early for me,
Right,
But
so it's,
I like it.
Gotta wait till October for that one.
Hey, you know what? She was in the mood for it, so I struck while the iron was hot.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about watching a movie, folks, not about something else. I just realized how it sounded. Anyway, so she had never seen this movie before, and she liked it. I was
wow.
very surprised. I was like, yes!
That is
excellent."
actually very surprising because that is not a her type of movie. I feel like, but
Movie fucking rocks.
movie-
It's great. It's
I don't know
so
how anybody
fucking
couldn't
good.
like it. But
It's so good. Tom Atkins is so good, but he's such a fucking creep in the whole.
Yeah.
He's like, I was like, she was like, what? Kat was like, why is he a creep? I was like, he's easily 30 years older than this girl in this movie. And she was like, no, he's not. I was like, he is definitely in his 50s
And
here,
he's
and she's
married.
in her 20s, and married, and or separated or whatever. It's so creepy, but such a good movie. So yeah, so because she wanted to watch that, I did a month of Peacock, which has. Because it's owned by Universal,
Yeah,
all
they
the
got a ton
a
of shit.
lot of the Universal classic monster
Tons.
stuff. So yeah, that's why I watched The Mummy, the original Boris Karloff one. And it's pretty good. It's it's like an hour and 12 minutes.
for a movie that's almost 100 years old.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
pretty-
It's worth it just to see Boris Karloff as Imhotep alone. So I had a good time watching that. I did not have a good time watching, and tell me if you've seen this movie, either of you guys. And we were talking about Oh God, what was the cryptid movie you were talking about?
Oh,
Dawn of the Beast.
Dawn of the Beast.
So on Peacock, there's a Bigfoot movie that I've always wanted to see. It's called Willow Creek. It's a found footage Bigfoot
I've
movie.
seen that like scrolling through. I've never watched it.
So written and directed by Bobcat Goldthwait.
Red flag.
Yeah, and dude, I made it through about an hour. Nothing happened. I was like, I'm all fucking.
Did everyone
sad. I
talk
was.
like
oh
him?
my God, no, not everybody talked.
That would be.
Thank
See,
God.
that
But
I
it
would
was like.
watch.
So
Just for the
it
laughs.
kind of had like the seeds of being something interesting, where it was like like it was a couple that was out in like the middle of Bigfoot country trying to like film something, but they like nothing scary happened. It was you could tell that it was a comedian writing this movie because literally all that was happening was they were walking around and interviewing and making fun of like the locals, and I was like, okay, are we gonna get like any Bigfoot shit here? And I was like, you know
worst.
what, fuck this. I only have so much time in my day. Fuck you. Sorry, apologies to Bobcat Goldthwait, or do I? I guess.
You know what
Yeah.
sucks though is like if you turn it off and then
Yeah.
like the last half hour of the movie is just
Probably bananas. Yeah. So
Well, it
Willow
was-
Creek kind of sucked. not
Maybe
gonna
he's
lie.
just doing a bit.
Yeah, maybe.
And like it's just he just pops on that he's Bigfoot. Yeah.
Remember the episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark when he plays the Sandman?
No.
Oh my God, so fucking weird. Yeah, and then so my background noise over the last week. I know. So my version of Andrew Seinfeld has been Treehouse of Horrors
nice.
on Disney Plus. Because there's literally, so I've just been
30 of
going.
them.
Yeah, so if I'm looking for something mindless to throw on, I've been going to like the Halloween collection portal on Disney Plus, and they have all of the Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors separated along with all the other like Halloween stuff. So
Does Disney Plus? I have Disney Plus, but I just never go on it unless we're watching Bluey,
Yep.
which is like a little baby show.
Yes.
And it's cute. It's funny. Do they have Don't Look Under the Bed?
I'm not sure
Because that's a fucking horror movie, dude. That's a full-blown scary movie
Yeah, I
that was
don't
on
know.
the Disney Channel when
Yeah.
I was a kid.
I'm not
okay.
sure.
I've seen that.
The only
It's the
reason
Boogeyman one.
the only reason that we went in there I think it was either last week or the week before, is Kat wanted to watch Halloween Town, which is a 90s Disney Channel.
Yeah, those are
album.
bangers too. It was all
like,
right
like
in
with
the
like
same
Brink
world as-
and like.
Oh, dude, I love Brink.
I'm not talking
Irish.
about Brink like that.
Brink.
Yeah, Luck
Oh,
of the
Brink was
Irish.
so good.
Don't Look Under the Bed, is that
my
what it's
sister
called?
used to be
Yeah.
obsessed with Eric Von Detten, Brink himself. Anyway, so yeah, Treehouse of Horrors has been my background noise. So yeah, I'm trying to watch as much Halloween shit as I can, folks.
I know, luckily, like the Sox are kind of like out of it now.
Yeah,
I only have to worry about football. Fucking.
I don't think I've
once a
seen
week.
that. And that is on the Disney
Dude,
Channel.
it's hella spooky.
Okay, all right, I'll have to check that out.
Wish I had Disney.
Gentlemen, anything else before we jump into tonight's topic?
It's very dreamy.
So dreamy.
Very. Mr. Sandman. All right, so we're talking A Nightmare on Elm Street. The original Nightmare on Elm Street, the 1984, written and directed by Wes Craven, Nightmare on Elm Street. And it's another movie that launched a franchise, which has seen 6 sequels to this movie. A crossover film that pits Freddy Krueger up against Jason Voorhees. A terrible remake, which I love that Kat threw out in the group chat last night. Oh, maybe we'll watch the remake and the original back-to-back. And I was like,
I shouldn't have.
no. No, that's not happening. A TV series, which
Love that.
maybe we'll talk about Freddy's Nightmares a little bit. Comic books, multiple haunted houses based on Nightmare on Elm Street and Freddy Krueger, and even video games. So it's just another movie that has created an iconic character, an iconic franchise. And here we are, years later. And I feel like actually it's 2022. I think the most recent Nightmare on Elm Street movie we had was the remake,
Yeah,
with
that was
Jackie
2010, right?
Earl Haley playing Freddy Krueger, which again is terrible. So we're overdue for another one. So obviously an iconic movie, an iconic character, and it's directed by an iconic name in horror. Gentlemen, what steered us towards this movie? Andrew, I think this was your suggestion, so why don't you kick this off?
It just feels like a movie that during Halloween season you kind of have to talk
Can't
about.
miss
And
it.
we have
Yeah.
yet to talk about this movie, which is kind of wild.
Yeah.
So it just felt right. The timing felt right. I know Matt's a big fan of these movies, so having him on the podcast now too, it was like seemed like something that we could all really delve into. Clearly, it's also a movie that was highly inspired by Phantasm, so we can go there. But no, I'm just kidding.
Highly
go.
inspired.
Just-
There it is.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that is inspired from Phantasm. Let's not forget.
Similarities, maybe? Similarities.
Inspired by.
Okay. I was going to say, I think there's a lot. This movie and this franchise owes a lot to Pennywise and Stephen King as well. That's kind of what I've gathered. Not factual, but I think that the themes are very similar.
Yeah, this came up first.
Freddy Krueger is very Pennywise-ish. Wait, what year did the novel come out?
86.
Okay, see, I didn't know that. I thought it was
Phantasm 79. This movie 84.
Okay.
Just saying that.
Yes, Andrew. Everything leads back.
That's
to
not why I
Phantasm.
picked
Yes,
this movie.
of course,
It just felt like a good movie. And plus, it's a movie that I haven't seen in so fucking long that I was like, you know what? I kind of want to watch it anyway, and I think it'd be fun to talk about.
This movie definitely feels classic Halloween, classic
It is
horror. Yeah,
100%
great.
classic.
Yeah, great.
Great.
Matt.
That was just you asking me why.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Well, what okay.
I didn't know if I needed to delve into the movie. Why I like the movie.
Sure.
All
Yeah.
right,
What do you thoughts about the movie?
I like any movies that have a lot of like dream-related themes to them because you can pretty much go any way you want with those types of movies, and this one does not lack in going in directions that are just amazing. The acting is exactly what you would expect from a movie like this. You also get plenty of characters that you hate throughout, specifically Glenn, played by Johnny Depp, because he might be the biggest idiot ever.
Yeah,
like, can you just stay awake? She talks him on the phone like half hour before, and he's just passed out sleeping. Like he didn't even attempt, like not even try. The parents are idiots. Like it's 80s, perfect 80s
horror movie macho
movie.
moron man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like having rewatched this finally. It's been at least 15 to 20 years. Now I can really see the Stranger Things, like how much they took from this movie, because it was like even like the dong.
Yeah,
I was like, it's like pretty much just like.
Well, I know you haven't caught up on Stranger Things yet, so we'll keep this. Yeah, we'll keep that to a minimum.
But there's a lot of. They definitely were highly inspired by this.
And I think the Duffer Brothers were the first to admit that they.
It's not like they tried to disguise it, but and then you also have like a classic villain in Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like he's everything that you kind of want in a villain. Creepy, kind of goofy, awesome weapons on his hand. I mean, that's
iconic weapons. Yep. Iconic look.
Yeah, I mean this movie.
Iconic actor.
I mean, how many
playing
movies?
him.
How many movies did this really inspire? I mean, it's got to be. The list has to be.
Yeah.
Pretty long.
Oh, for sure.
Like it's just very well done.
And actually,
for a slasher,
I think that, and this is like a supernatural slasher.
Yeah, that's
so
why I like it.
Right?
That's why,
so it's not just a straight slasher like Halloween,
No.
which I know you don't really have any love lost for.
Because it's just a straight slasher.
I also think that this is kind of, you may disagree with me, Matt, one of my favorite versions of Freddy because he hasn't devolved into punchline WWE camp Freddy Krueger yet. There's some of it in there. There's some, but it's not completely there yet.
I'll only go as far with the camp as like the third movie.
Yeah,
and then
which
it's really just too much after that.
I also think this is one of the few horror slasher franchises that I think that I appreciate a good number of the sequels. I think that there's actually some really good stuff, specifically in Dream Warriors, New Nightmares, awesome.
Yeah.
And
4 and 5.
I mean, if you want, I called it a crossover, but I guess if you want to consider Freddy versus Jason a sequel, it kind of is. It's a stupid ass movie, of course. It's a fucking versus movie, but I think it's pretty goddamn fun. It's not the best movie in the world. I would obviously I would put it in the same category as like the Alien versus Predator. If you like both of those franchises, you'll probably like that movie or whatever. But yeah, so I think this is definitely one of my preferred slasher type movies. What am I trying to say? Jesus, if I can only speak. As the slasher genre not being one of my favorite subgenres of horror. I know Kat would beg to differ because she loves slasher movies.
Oh,
So.
yeah, obviously.
Anywho, apparently I can't find my speaking voice tonight. Matt, what do you think about A Nightmare on Elm Street and the franchise as a whole? The floor is yours, my friend.
I love the Nightmare on Elm Street. I love the original one. It's original itself and like as a story. It was, I remember as a kid, the first movie that had that much gore. I remember watching it and being like when Johnny Depp gets sucked into the bed and the guys are, I just remember being like, whoa, dude, like what happened to his body? And it was always like, it was the first really bloody movie that I saw. Freddy Krueger himself, he's just this like, He's a ghoul. He's like this little fucking dickhead. But like when you get behind his actual story, like he was like killing children, and like I think he was like a child molester or something.
So
too.
in this one, so actually I was reading about that earlier when I was reading about this movie. Wes Craven wanted to make him a child molester in this movie, and they turned him into a child killer because I guess in Southern California at the time the movie came out, or when they were developing the movie, there was a serial child molester and killer that was out there, and the studio did not want it to feel like they were capitalizing on those crimes by creating that movie. So,
but the new one
with Jackie Haley,
or was he an accused one in that?
No, he is a child molester in that, from what I read.
Because I feel like if you're going to go with he was a child molester, if you're going to go a different avenue, you should go an accused child molester that actually isn't, and then he's seeking his revenge. Kind of gives the villain a little bit more. Like, you kind of feel for the villain in that.
Story.
Yeah, you would feel for the villain because you know that he wasn't, and he's just getting his revenge.
Yeah.
But whereas you're a child murderer, what kind of revenge are you getting? They killed you. You deserve to be killed, you piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly. Tough to...
But that's just because he's just evil.
He's evil, yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like that...
But, like, that angle of it, like, knowing that he's, like, he kills children, it's, like, adds a way more sinister... background of the character as much as it's just like this fucking burnt up dude running around in a sweater.
Yeah, like, who the hell's this?
Rickety Cricket, like in the late sunny season. Yeah. Right. But like you have that background and it actually does make him much more frightening. Like there's so many good, genuinely scary scenes. Like when Tina has the dream and he's like, his arms like stretch way out and he's walking down the thing and like did just shit like that. It just, Wes Craven did such a good job of like capturing just like good dream-like sequences that are frightening and scary. And Freddy Krueger's a scary dude. Like,
and I feel like that's why this movie kind of,
it holds up pretty well.
If you are a fan of horror and you watch this movie as a kid, this movie probably scared you because it plays on those fears that you have as a child or as a teenager, right? Fear of nightmares and bad dreams and your bad dreams coming to life. Fear of the boogeyman. They call him the boogeyman in this. Just same thing with Michael Myers. And he's a fucking freaky looking dude. And just the idea that you can't ever not go to sleep. Yeah. So eventually, Freddy's coming for you. Yeah, so you know that he's going to get you eventually, and that is a scary concept, which they do a really good job of playing on. So
I think like the It Follows theme, where you're never going to get away from it, like which they definitely take.
It Follows, I feel like definitely takes some inspiration from A Nightmare on Elm Street in certain senses. Obviously,
just that, like it's different, completely different, but that same general concept that you can't get away from.
There's no escaping. You can run, you can hide, but there is no escape.
It's like Michael Myers.
You're
not getting away from him. You're not beating him.
Yeah, it's like impending death. Everything
evil
is coming
does
for us all.
not die tonight.
Yeah, evil does not die tonight. Oh my god, I just remembered that I'm gonna have to watch Halloween Ends at some point in the next couple of weeks. God, I hope it's good.
It's in theaters and on Peacock.
Yeah, I'm definitely not seeing that in theaters.
I have Peacock, so I'm not in theaters.
Ugh, God.
I'm gonna watch it because I.
Okay, so where does Freddy Krueger rank in the pantheon of slasher villains for you guys? So obviously, like Leatherface, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees.
Like, what do you mean?
So, where is he one of your favorites? Like, who is your favorite, and where would Freddy Krueger fall on the list? I guess Kat would want to consider Ghostface.
You can throw him in that list.
Ghostface. I mean,
Leprechaun,
some people are saying I saw, and again I've been trying to stick away from reviews, but some people are saying that Art the Clown might be climbing up that list after Terrifier.
He's got a few more movies to do probably, but he's up there in my book.
All Hallows Eve, right?
Yep.
Terrifier.
So he's
Terrifier
at 3
2,
now too.
Got 3.
He's up there. Yeah. Pennywise, does Pennywise count?
I mean, a couple movies. I would think he's an icon. So I guess I don't know. So let's say this, of the main slasher villains, the main 4, which I would consider to be Leatherface, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger. Of those main 4, where does Freddy Krueger fall for you guys?
So the thing with me is that I personally like Jason the best. I like the Friday the 13th movies the most. I like the legacy that it has, and there's something about those movies, as fucking shitty as they are. I just think they're fucking awesome. I don't know why, but they are. I don't know. But the thing with that is I have to put like an asterisk next to Jason because he's not in the first one.
Right.
So technically, for some reason, my brain just doesn't want him to win because of that. So I would say Freddy's got to be the next best one. Michael Myers. Leatherface I don't count because that's like, all those sequels are just so fucking bad.
Yeah.
Like the second one's okay, but it's like still it's not the same. Like it's just The first movie is so fucking high up there that even Texas Chainsaw 2, it's like a weird, goofy slapstick, spoof of itself. Like, it's... So I'm like, all right, I don't want to do that, but I would have to say Freddy's got to be the fucking guy.
I think for me, just because I love the original Halloween, I think more than this movie, I'm going to have to go Michael Myers. I would go Freddy too, and I think, for me, it's a pretty wide gap between Freddy and Voorhees.
Yeah.
If you want... I would actually even consider Leatherface ahead of Jason... I mean, I appreciate Jason Voorhees' place in the iconography of horror. I just don't appreciate that particular franchise as much as many do.
Yeah.
Which we also haven't covered Friday the 13th. We were talking about that a while back, because I think we were coming up on a Friday the 13th, and we were talking about potentially doing Friday the 13th, but we didn't, for whatever reason. We haven't covered any of those movies. So, it might have been before Matt was in the pod. Because I know I'm not the biggest fan of that franchise. I don't know about you, and I don't know about Kat either. But I don't know. It's just, I know I might be in the minority here. People love Jason, but it's just not my particular cup of tea.
I see again. I like
the first one.
I need a rewatch.
Yeah.
I need a rewatch of these ones because my opinion was so set and firm about slasher movies that like I maybe watched these movies 15, 20, and then I just like blew them off.
Yeah.
So I feel like they all deserve a rewatch, except for Halloween. I already have my mind set up on Halloween because I've seen that multiple times, done multiple ways. And yeah, I think it's definitely Freddy. I think because you can just say Freddy, and you know who you're talking.
Yeah.
Just like you can say Jason, Michael. You might be talking about something different. I mean, Michael Myers. There's also
Michael
Austin
Jackson.
Powers. So I would think it would go Freddy, Tall Man.
It's the collective groan.
Freddy, Tall Man, Leatherface, Jason, Michael Myers.
Okay, fine.
My disdain for Halloween is not...
Again, sometimes it's
subjective.
It's what makes us different that makes us
I'm
great.
not saying
And
that's
it's what
right.
makes
That's
us
my
all
Mount
different.
Rushmore, though.
It's our different opinions that might make this podcast great in terms of discussion. So I can appreciate that on all accounts. Before we kind of go further into A Nightmare on Elm Street, why don't we pause for a quick 90 seconds and get a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back. And we're back.
It's official. The critics' decision is in.
Spooky World is spooktacular.
Enter the new black hole.
If you dare.
Or the new horror House of Wax. This year, don't miss the real Jason, Bobby Pickett, or Alice Cooper. Phone the 24-hour Spooky World hotline. 508-838-0200. That's 508-838-0200. Spooky World is just west of Boston and haunts every night from October 1st till November 1st. If you had the nerve, you'd phone 508-838-0200.
It's America's horror theme park. Spooky World.
Don't be scared. I'm the super sweet monster with the super sweet new cereal, Count Chocula.
Biffle, here's the super sweet new cereal, Frankenberry.
But I've got chocolate sweeties for monstrous chocolate flavor.
Well, I've got berry-flavored sweeties for monster strawberry flavor.
Count Chocula.
Frankenberry.
Hi.
Frankenberry.
Count Chocula.
Sleepy Clovers.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
The new face of evil is going to scare you to death. Barrett's Haunted Mansion. It's a killer this year. Then right next door to the Abington Ale House. Barrett's Haunted Mansion. Eat, drink, and be scary. Go to bhmansion.com.
All right. So, guys, A Nightmare on Elm Street came out in the year of our Lord, 1984. Some pretty good horror movies from that year. Not an iconic year, I would say, but there's some good stuff. You want to hear about it?
Yeah, I'm down.
This is the second movie from 1984 that we've covered on this show. The other one would be Gremlins, which...
Pretty good.
Horror movie, to me.
Yeah.
The best Christmas horror movie out there, I think. I know people would say, Black Christmas, Silent Night, Deadly Night, which actually, so also in 1984, Silent Night, Deadly Night came out the first one.
Yeah.
So get some Christmas horror in 1984,
That's a
Silent Night,
fucking
Deadly Night.
sleazy movie, man.
Gremlins, yep. Let's see, we also have Chud in 1984, which...
Big Chud fans.
I got some love for Chud.
Nothing
Big
wrong with
Chud guy.
Yep.
Big Chud
Children of the Corn. Children of the Corn came out in 1984. Malachi. Yeah, not that
Yeah.
great.
You got me until the fucking explosion at the end that looks like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yeah. The original Firestarter, the good Firestarter, 1984, or the decent Firestarter. Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
Yep.
Spoiler, as
Not
the narrator
the
would
final
say,
chapter.
it would not be the final chapter. Gremlins, which I already mentioned. The Hills Have Eyes Part 2, which I have personally never seen, and The Toxic Avenger.
Love that.
Good movie out of Troma Studio. So maybe not the best year, but okay,
Not terrible.
some good
though. I
stuff.
mean, you got some
Chud.
You got some bangers.
I
there.
feel like
Starter.
there's definitely a lot of like hidden gems in there too.
Yeah,
Silent
maybe-
Night, Deadly Night's pretty deep cut, and that movie is a fucking sleaze bag of a movie, dude.
We were actually talking about Silent Night, Deadly Night with Tony from the Spooktacular movie.
You've
seen it, right?
Baritone. Yeah, we were talking about
Oh,
it at
man.
Baritone Mansion in Line the other night, and he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Wait, you guys haven't talked about that movie yet around Christmas time?" And I was like, "No."
Sounds like sounds like something we should do.
Yeah,
it is
probably,
a fucking it's nuts,
yeah.
but it's just like grimy. Like it's just like ugh.
See, now I always get them.
Not
Is
a
this the
family
one I'm
movie.
thinking of? Is it the one where the guy? It's like a character study. Is it that one, or am I thinking of something else?
It's like the little kid watches like a guy dressed as Santa kill his parents and like basically like rapes his mom.
Yeah, and then he
Right,
grows up
yeah.
and he works in like a factory
That's
and he
the one.
just ends up like which
He
one?
works
am
at
I-
like a toy store.
Yeah,
Or like a Kmart
is it a toy store or
or
something?
something. Yeah.
Which one am I thinking of? Is it different? Like he goes to like the Christmas party with all his coworkers and kills them all.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
they
okay,
all
that's-
get like wasted.
Yeah, and then like the
Yeah.
town's like hunting him like Frankenstein at the end of the movie. Okay, yeah, that movie's awesome.
Yes, it is awesome, but it's
Okay.
just like it
I
is
thought
a
that was the movie, and I was like, is that the
movie,
one?
dude.
Oh,
It
it's
remi-
so grimy.
it-
It's like Henry
I'd
Portrait of a Serial Killer as Santa Claus.
I'd categorize like Maniac with that.
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
William
that's
Lustig's
actually
Maniac.
that's
Very
a fair
grimy,
comparison.
Yeah,
That's a
very like
grime
just like
movie.
geez. Don't get me wrong, I fucking love Maniac. That is a fucking awesome 80s
Oh yeah,
horror movie.
demented fucking.
I
Movie.
love
Yeah.
grimy movies. They're the best.
All right, you guys want to hear a little bit more about A Nightmare on Elm Street?
Let's do it.
All right. Did you guys know that New Line Cinemas is called or is nicknamed the house that Freddy built? Do you know why that is?
Because they probably took off after the movie.
So basically, Nightmare on Elm Street saved New Line Cinema from bankruptcy because the reported budget of A Nightmare on Elm Street was $1.8 million, and it returned over $57 million in 1984 money at the box office worldwide.
Prestige.
Yeah, that's a lot. Not a little bit of money, but in fact, a lot of money.
Whole gang of it.
Yeah, and I think I saw something like when I was looking at the franchise page on Wikipedia today. It's like over $480 million that
yeah,
the
once you have a
Nightmare on Elm
banger
Street
like that,
franchise
it's
has
just-
made for New Line Cinema, which is just fucking wild. So, it is very interesting the way Wes Craven came up for the idea of this movie because it is not based on a true story, but it is based on real life events that inspired him to come up with this story, which I'm sure both of you guys
Hold on a second.
may have heard a variation
You're
of this
telling
story.
me
Yes.
that no one came through people's murdered them?
I'm telling you that.
Just
Yes,
making sure.
that's correct.
That is a fact.
So Wes Craven first came up with the basic idea for the movie from a series of articles in the LA Times over a 3-year period about a group of Southeast Asian refugees from Hmong, which I believe is in Vietnam, I'm not sure. Several of whom died in the throes of horrific nightmare. The group had come to the United States to escape the murderous reign of Pol Pot, and within a year of arriving, 3 men had died, all in similar situations. The young, otherwise healthy man would have a nightmare, then refuse to sleep for as long as he could. And when he finally fell asleep from exhaustion, he awoke screaming and then died. The autopsy results revealed that they had not died from heart failure, but had simply just died. It was this inability to find a cause of death that intrigued Wes Craven so much, and medical authorities, I should say, have since called this phenomenon the Asian death syndrome, which seems a little dated. A variant of sudden, unexpected death syndrome, SUDS. You may have heard of SIDS, the sudden infant death syndrome. This is SUDS. So, yeah, that's where the inspiration for this movie
Probably
came from.
shadow people. 'Cause,
Maybe.
I mean, you've seen the Nightmare, right? And
We've
then
talked
the
about
whole-
talked about shadow people in the Nightmare before, for sure. And honestly, like night terrors, I would not rule out as a reason for that. Maybe there's
Have a heart attack.
yeah,
But you said that there wasn't a heart attack. They said it wasn't that.
no
It was
heart
just- they
attacks.
Just
Yep,
died.
just died. Yep.
That was the same thing with the
Wild.
Nightmare. Like just
Pretty
very
crazy.
healthy young college adults, and they just.
Yeah. So yeah, dreams can be a powerful thing, and it's wild. This is based in some level of real life events. The inspiration for the character of Freddy Krueger came from several sources in Wes Craven's childhood, which I'm sure you guys may have heard of some of these things as well. Maybe our listeners have not. So there was actually a guy named Fred Krueger that was a schoolmate of Wes Craven's when he was growing up. They shared a paper route. Apparently, Fred Krueger bullied Wes Craven when they were growing up. And actually, in The Last House on the Left, which was made a full 12 years earlier, Wes Craven also used his experience as an inspiration. The villain is named Krug. That movie, or one of the villains.
That's a fucking scary dude.
It should be Freddy K. Uger.
K. Uger. The burns that Freddy Krueger has in the movie came from a man with severe burn scars, with basically Wes Craven saw as a kid, was terrified for the rest of his life. And Freddy's attire, the iconic red and green sweater, the dirty clothes, the dirty hat, which is just wild to think about, was inspired by an quote-unquote alcoholic hobo that Wes Craven saw staring at him through his window one day when he was 10 years old.
I mean, that would scare me.
Me as well, yes.
So I don't blame him for that.
Yeah, kind of wild.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's intense.
Yeah. And we talked about this a little bit, but in the original script, Freddy was supposed to be a child molester. However, the decision was made to change him into being a child murderer to avoid accusations of exploiting a series of child molestations in California around the time of production. And in the 2010 remake starring Jackie Earle Haley, he was rewritten as a child molester. Freddy's iconic weapon, obviously, the glove, the knife glove. That was the idea behind that was a practical one on Wes Craven's part, as he wanted to give the character a unique weapon, but also something could be made cheaply and wouldn't be difficult to use or transport. So at the time, he was studying primal fears. Seems like a Wes Craven type of thing to do, right? The primal fears of people. And apparently embedded in the subconscious of people of all cultures, people are afraid of attacks of animal claws.
Yeah.
So that's where he got this idea from. He saw his cat one day unsheath its claws. So when you go home to Seven tonight, Andrew, think of Freddy Krueger when Seven unsheathes her claws into the the couch to fluff up wherever she's laying, and the two concepts merged. And although in the original script, I guess the blades were fishing knives, not steak knives, which I feel like wouldn't have been as scary. There's that. Cool.
Those were steak knives?
They were steak knives.
I feel like fishing knives would be
maybe like steak cutting knives, like not like actual like butcher knives, but like steak.
Like a deboning knife?
Yeah, maybe something like that.
I think that would be fine.
Yeah, probably. So yeah, real life inspirations and real life things for Freddy Krueger and
Pretty good.
Nightmare on Elm Street himself. Let's see. What else do we have? Do you guys want to hear about some potential casting replacements for the three main characters in this movie? And by three main characters, I mean Freddy Krueger, Nancy Thompson, and Glenn, whatever Johnny Depp's character's last name was.
Glenn Glenderson.
Glenn Glenderson. Yeah, Glenn Glenderson works for me. So the guy that was originally supposed to play Freddy was an actor named David Warner. Mm-hmm. I remember him the most from Titanic. He is Billy Zane's right-hand henchman who handcuffs DiCaprio to the pipe in Titanic when the ship's going down. He's been in a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, I know the name. I'm trying to put a base of the name.
But basically, he was cast to play Freddy, and they did makeup tests, but he had to drop out due to a scheduling conflict, so that didn't happen.
There's a guy here to make Titanic
if you Google David Warner and you see his picture, you'd be like, oh yeah, I know that guy. Yeah. And then also Kane Hodder was considered, who obviously went on to go play Jason Voorhees. And obviously it went to Robert Englund.
Oh, he was in Time Bandits?
Another movie you
fucking
love.
Awesome.
Yeah, one of your favorites.
Oh, Tron? Yeah, I know who. He was, he's a huge actor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, David Warner.
He would have been a good Freddy.
Yeah. Let's see. So for Nancy, Wes Craven said he wanted somebody very non-Hollywood, and he believed that Heather Langenkamp, who ultimately got the role, she beat out over 200 actresses for this role. Wow. Fit the bill. And some of the biggest name actresses at the time that were considered for this role, reportedly Demi Moore, Courtney Cox, Tracy Gold, who played, Carol Seaver in Growing Pains, Jennifer Grey from Dirty Dancing. So there were a lot of big name actresses that were up for this role, and ultimately went to Heather Langenkamp. Obviously an iconic role for her, probably the most iconic role of her career, right? And I feel like part of the reason that this movie works so well is she's great as that role of Nancy. She's a good final girl.
Yeah.
Right?
She's very good. She's almost annoying to a point, but she's also still strong and independent.
She like channels her inner like fucking Kevin McAllister.
Yeah, she does exactly
like,
when she's like,
booby-traps
I'm
the fuck
ready
out of
for
her
you,
house.
Freddy.
Yeah, come and get it, bitch.
Yeah, that's like, I was like, oh wow, they really do that. And she's just burning him the whole time.
Yeah, she fucks his shit up.
I think it's wild that they're supposed to be 15 years old, but that.
Yeah, for sure.
I was like, how old are you? 15?
They're supposed to be 15.
Yeah, because they were like, like at the funeral, whatever, there was a part where Tina's 15 years old. I'm like, I feel weird about that scene
like
now.
maybe seniors in high school.
No, they were 15.
That guy Rod is supposed to be 15.
Well, maybe he's
dude.
not 15, but Tina was definitely
He's
15.
17.
Rod Lane.
That guy was a fucking cocksucker.
Yeah,
That guy's the worst.
Rob's a little problematic.
He was Eddie Munson.
Definitely the Eddie. I would say one of the inspirations for the Eddie Munson character in season 4 of Stranger Things, for sure.
He was the worst.
That guy was a fucking chode.
What's oh my god, what's his girlfriend's name?
Tina. Yeah.
Hey Tina, I woke up with a hard-on this morning and had your name written all over it.
That was like the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't think you could fit that many letters on it or something. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, she roasted him. And
roast.
Yeah, definitely
It's
roasted.
only 4 letters, dude.
Yeah.
He was probably like a 6th year senior, too. He was probably like 20, and she was 15.
Oh, he looked way older than the rest of them, for sure. And then obviously this character of Glenn. Obviously Johnny Depp's first film role. Obviously Johnny Depp. Say what you will about him, a pretty iconic actor. Has won a couple Academy Awards, been nominated for a bunch. Pretty famous in the news over the last year for varying other reasons. But basically was an unknown when he was cast in this movie. Now, he actually, fun fact, went to the audition for Nightmare on Elm Street with Jackie Earle Haley.
Oh, really?
They were friends at the time. And obviously Jackie Earle Haley would go on to be cast as Freddy Krueger in the 2010 remake. And one of the reasons that Johnny Depp ended up getting cast in this movie was basically because Wes Craven's daughter said that he was dreamy and threatened to run away from home.
Oh, really?
if Wes Craven didn't cast Johnny Depp in this movie. So maybe there was a real fear of Wes Craven's daughter running away from home, and he thought this was the best way to remedy that situation. I don't know for sure. Some of the other actors, though, that were considered for this role, much more famous than Johnny Depp at the time. John Cusack, Brad Pitt, Kiefer Sutherland, Nicolas Cage, C. Thomas Howell, all rumored to be in the running for the role of Glenn.
E. Thomas Howell?
Yes.
C. Thomas, why do I know that?
The Outsiders, it'd been in a ton of 80s shit. You'd know him if you saw him, for sure. So, yeah, there's that. Let's see. Any thoughts on any of that, you guys?
I mean, the casting was fine again, it's just like a slasher movie. I'm not going to have any issues with it unless it's really bad.
Well, yeah, like the kids they do their part. The parents are fucking
awful.
Wicked weird. Like the mom's like weird, like alcoholic, like it's just.
First off, why is she saving his knives in the
Why is she on
downstairs?
fire in the bed and sinking into it?
Yep, that's definitely a little strange. So I did read when I was researching this that Wes Craven almost wanted the parents to seem kind of like mini villains.
They kind of were.
Because he wanted the sense of isolation for the kids to feel like more prominent.
And how, I understand because of movie, but you're never getting all those bars installed on a house
that is
in like the
absolutely
same day.
outrageous. Yeah, there's no fucking way. No shot.
And then the stupid cop standing outside, maybe I should get the lieutenant. Yeah, she's screaming and breaking glass. I think regardless of what you think she is, maybe she's insane, you might want to get her dad.
Yeah.
Well, it was like you'd think the dad in the movie was handed like a different script.
Yeah.
Like he just like is not in a horror movie. He's just like a fucking serious dickhead. Like
I know I loved
like
it as a child,
it seems like
unfortunately.
he's playing in like a cop drama. And it's wicked funny, like, that contrast. But there's a scene at the end, the very end of the movie, when they get in the car and, like, everything's all better. And, like, the mom's like, she's like, you know what? I'm going to quit drinking.
Yes.
Like,
I'm just sick of it. I'm just giving it up. Yeah, like it's that easy, right? Yep.
And
Okay.
then she fucking, like, she gets pulled through, like, the little window.
Yeah, it's like the Jason.
Dude, if you pause that when that happens,
it's
literally a, like, blow-up sex doll.
Yeah. Oh, wait, she goes through that window so fast and turns into, like, air. It's like...
Dude, I'm serious. When you do it, like, it's like you can see like, it's a blow-up sex doll. It's not funny. I'm like,
They had
dude,
to and get that budgeted.
yeah, they just were like, fuck, we got like $40.
Yeah. They used like that that was the same one ending in Jason, like Friday the 13th.
Oh yeah, oh for sure.
And I think they did that in
What?
Phantasm
Well,
too.
the ending of Friday the 13th when he comes out of the lake.
Yeah.
That's a good fucking jump scare.
That's
That was
a-
legit.
But
Yeah,
they were
that's all
trying. They
designed
were
by
trying
Tom
to play
Savini.
on that
Yeah.
same scare.
Yeah, but that one was scary. This was just
like
fucking
weird,
corny. Yeah.
The one in Phantasm was good too, like when they're in the bed.
That one,
Same thing.
yeah.
I'm telling you, there's plenty of like scoff, like scoff and the Phantasm, but
No,
plenty
obviously,
of,
no. We're scoffing because you bring up Phantasm every 35 seconds.
because
That's the reason.
it gets no love. That's why.
I know.
Well,
I know.
when he brought up the tall man and the slasher countdown, just
That was a little
me and Mike
ridiculous.
literally like subconsciously just been like,
Come
oh
on.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know it's technically not a slap,
It's not.
He's a villain.
but he's a great villain. He's
Yes.
one of the tallest.
Great
villains.
villain. Yes. One of the
probably-
greatest villains that squints with one eye open. Yes.
Boy.
Let's see. So Freddy Krueger also, by the way, been featured at 13 different haunted houses at Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando, Hollywood, and Japan. So it turns out that if you've been to a Halloween Horror Nights any year, you've probably seen Freddy Krueger in some way, shape, or form because he's been there a lot. Guys, that's what I have for notes here on A Nightmare on Elm Street. Anything further you guys want to contribute before we wrap this up?
There's a few good sequels, for sure.
Yeah. Why don't you talk about those a little bit?
I like 2 and I own all of them, and I've seen all of them a handful of times. It's just one of those, like, every once in a while I'll have, like, a day off, and I'm just, like, it's like a rainy day. I'm like, I'm just gonna fucking smash through these movies again. 2 is great. I think 2 is the most, is the scariest that Freddy gets, in terms of, like, visual, and just he's the most sinister. He's trying to possess that kid.
How do they segue into each other? Does one segue into two, or is it just
it's
completely
totally off.
Because at
It's
the
like-
end of that
it's like
movie, I was
way-
kind of like, so what happened? Still in a dream? Like,
Well, it's supposed to take place like years later, but it like very clearly is still like 1985. But they the third one, Dream Warriors, is that movie's fucking rad, dude.
The movie's awesome.
That's when
one of my
Freddy
favorites.
starts to kind of get a little more characterized. But it's still, the kills are fucking insane. The story is great. You have Nancy coming back, which Heather Langenkamp like reprises that role, and she reprises the role of herself way down the line in a New Nightmare, which that's
another great
very
sequel.
good sequel.
Yeah.
In terms of like franchises, this has to have some of the best held up sequels. Yeah,
I think just those two alone, three and New Nightmare, are both.
I even throw 2 in there too.
Yeah,
Freddy's
2.
Revenge,
I haven't seen
yeah.
2 in a long time, but the 2 I always remember are 3 and New Nightmare.
Yeah.
Those are my personal favorites. Have either of you guys watched Freddy's Nightmares, the TV show? Is it still on Tubi?
I haven't watched. Yeah, I haven't watched every episode. I've probably watched a handful of them. Like,
Great idea for a show, by the way. It's an anthology show
yeah.
featuring
They're
basically.
not all about Freddy.
Yeah, it's
So-
kind of cool. I think it's a good idea.
That's on Tubi?
But he's like the host. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Some of the stories do involve Freddy in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it has a lot of his back. Like the first episode is like his actual backstory.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like that. I could dig that.
Yeah, definitely check it out.
Super
If you have
80s,
Tubi,
dude.
check it out.
yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and I guess my last question before we wrap this up: would you guys, if someone were to continue this franchise in 2022, with it being, again, as I said, 12 years since the last movie, or even longer since that movie was a remake, right? What do you do with the Nightmare on Elm Street? What do you do with that franchise? Do you do something completely new? Do you do a legacy sequel? Do you do something out of left field? What do you do?
Freddy Luger fingers?
I feel like, in the
nice
same
sound.
vein as the TV series,
I don't know where you go with that.
this lends itself well to an anthology. Maybe you do something like that. I have no idea. I don't know what you do, but I feel like it's been too long.
Maybe it's been too long for a reason because it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, it's hard to. There's such a fine line between keeping the story, because the story's already pretty fucking ridiculous in itself. But there's a fine line that Wes Craven was able to kind of very, very carefully tiptoe around, of keeping it like believable and respectable, and not just being fucking schlock.
Yeah.
Like,
You
'cause
know
what do
I
you think
mean?
about
And
Halloween
I don't
at this
think
point
anyone
now?
has the capability of taking that story and fucking doing
You're
anything
absolutely
impressive
right.
with it.
Because I did see an article recently that Jason Blum has come out and said that he thinks he can get Robert Englund to play Freddy Krueger one last time.
No
and
more
I want to be like,
Blumhouse
no,
movies.
you
Well,
need to go away. You need
and
to go
your
away and
Hulu
stop.
Bumhouse, yeah, we're good.
Like, I appreciate his enthusiasm for horror, but Stop ruining franchises. Stop.
Yeah, no. So if they did like a prequel to like, before he's ever even Freddy Krueger, like just like that episode you were talking about, like it's his origin story. That you can do.
It would be cool to have.
Outside of that, though,
I think what would be even better is like that idea, and have it play out as this whole origin story, but you don't know it's about Freddy Krueger until the fucking end, like the way Prometheus did with Alien.
Yeah.
That would be fucking cool, but that takes a lot of balls to pull off, and it has to be very well done.
Or you do another tie-in, like Freddy and.
But like, how do you not give away like the, you know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, I feel like
he's dead though.
With the marketing alone, they would need to market it and advertise it as a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. They would have to. They would have to put it as part of the franchise. So I feel like they would never do it, but it's a great idea. I mean,
maybe unless you kind of have people just be like, "Yo, you gotta go." Like that's kind of what happened with Prometheus when that came out. I was like, "Oh, this just looks like a regular, cool sci-fi alien movie."
Yeah, it was.
And
it
then
wasn't, wasn't like
"Whoa,
as an alien
I was
movie.
like,
that movie
"That's
was
a fucking
awesome.
xenomorph."
Yep. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
That movie's underrated. I don't care what anyone says.
Fucking rocks.
Same with Alien Covenant. We've talked about that plenty of times.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Too.
Alien Covenant's awesome.
All right, gentlemen, I must say it's time for us to wrap this up as unfortunately my laptop is running out of battery. So we're running out of borrowed time here.
Say good evening.
Yes, so good talk tonight on A Nightmare on Elm Street. Who knows, maybe we'll come back and talk about a couple of these sequels, because now I have the itch to watch a couple more of these sequels coming up. Sequel draft. That would be a really good one to do. We should do. Anyway, so, listeners, if you are listening to this podcast right now, guess what? Next week, wherever you're listening to it, we'll be there again on the same podcast platform. But if you're looking for a new podcast platform, we are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spreaker, and wherever else you may get your podcasts. Probably a bunch of places I don't even know about. And once again, I have been joined by my fellow esteemed co-hosts, Matt and Andrew, for this enlightening discussion about A Nightmare on Elm Street. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your contributions. And
good
I say to
evening.
you both, good evening.
Bid you good evening.
Good evening.
Adios,
Good evening,
muchachos.
Goodbye. Adios, muchachos.
See you in hell.
And bye.
Peace out, bitch.
Bitch.
Hey everyone, it's Mike from America's Hometown Horror, and just wanted to say thank you again for listening to another episode of our show, because of course, we would be nothing without you listeners. If you are interested in more local Plymouth podcasts, I would highly recommend you check out some shows by our cohorts on the Inebriart Podcast Network. That's right, the Inebriart Podcast Network, folks. In addition to America's Hometown Horror, you can find the Inebriart Podcast, Bar Talk, Theme Park Legends, Retro Redoctopus, and Old Colony Cast. Head on over and give them a listen.